This is CBC Here and Now.
It was a spectacular sight, the rarest of occurrences, something you may only get the chance to see once in your life, a total eclipse of the sun in parts of the U.S. It was a few minutes of near darkness in the middle of the day as the moon passed in front of the sun. And if you were in St. John's, well, this is what eclipse watchers of all ages got to witness at the Geo Center on Signal Hill. And that is where our Zach Gowdy was for today, and now we're trying to get him up there live. He is at Signal Hill at the Geo Center, so and I understand we do have him now. Zach, tell us, I understand it was a bit of a party up there today. What's the scene there now?
It was a fantastic party, Ryan, complete with these wonderful party favors. This is an Eclipse viewer. They're giving these out here today at the Geo Center. So you can see it's just a piece of dark film in a little bit of cardboard. But today, this was the latest and greatest in Eclipse viewing technology for hundreds of kids up here to see this rarest of events for the first time. Have a look at the pictures. Yeah, a great crowd of people here gathered at the Geo Center today for the eclipse. A larger crowd than they expected, in fact, due, I think, to the perfect eclipse viewing weather. Not a cloud in the sky here on Signal Hill at 3:30 local time when this eclipse began. For the folks here at the Geo Center, just a wonderful day, a time when people are genuinely interested in science and the natural world. And of course, here at the Geo Center, they know all about that. And for all of those young kids in the crowd, this is the first solar eclipse of their young lives, and many of them had some pretty interesting ways of describing what they were seeing through those viewers. Take a listen.
It looks like someone took a bite out of the sun.
Yeah, for now, yeah, that's what I said. It looks like someone took a very small bite out of the sun.
Let me see it again.
How different does the viewer make the look?
Oh, like you can't see a
Literally,
thing.
you can't see it. The only thing you can see is the sun.
What's the view like from behind the glasses?
Oh, it's really cool. It's only a tiny sliver on the bottom right now.
It's a yellow circle, and then you can just see a little black.
It's both of our first even partial eclipse, so this is really cool.
So is it what you expected to see, or is it even more surprising and amazing?
It's even more surprising.
So I thought it would just be like, you wouldn't be able to see the sun that well, but you really can.
So as you can see, folks, there, it's all over. That site will not be seen again in this part of the world until 2024. But next time, it promises to be even better in Newfoundland and Labrador. In 2024, the next total eclipse of the sun will leave the island of Newfoundland in the path of totality. In fact, in central Newfoundland, Gander and Grand Falls, Windsor, you folks will get to see 100% of the eclipse. Here in St. John's, around 95%. So Ryan and guys back in the studio, seeing as we already have this latest and greatest technology, I'm going to put this in my desk drawer, and in 7 years, one of you guys remind me that this is there?
Sounds like a plan, Zach.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I've seen your desk, Zach. There's no chance we're going to find that. I'm just giving him a hard time. Actually, Zach's desk is pretty clear.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It was a gorgeous day for us here to clear. It cleared, didn't it?
It did. Yeah, I was a little bit worried early on this morning. Of course, it started very cloudy here in the east. But things cleared out nicely, and it was such a great event, especially for the kids.
Mm-hmm. And we'll talk more. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
Peter.
no, I was just going to say that the big question will be when we get that total eclipse in April of 2024. Yeah, might not be quite as lucky, but...
Yeah, I'm not getting any 7-year forecasts.
You're not doing that long range.
7 day later on, though.
Well, and here's some of the other stories we're watching for you tonight. Deadly tower collapse. Company says the investigation reveals normal practices weren't followed.
The province puts $5 million into helping fish plant workers.
As we plan for a fishery of the future, that there are people to participate in the fishery of the future.
It was put down to slow down speeders, but it created another safety problem.
I cannot back into the driveway without going up over the median.
An investigation into the transmission tower collapse that killed 2 workers in June is complete. The company involved says proper procedures weren't followed. Here now as Terry Roberts explains.
It's a big project. Build a new transmission line to bring hydro from Bay d'Espoir to the power-hungry Avalon Peninsula. Nearly 600 towers like these. A company called Forbes Brothers is building the $300 million line for Newfoundland and Labrador Hydro. And everything seemed to be going fine until the afternoon of June 19th. A crew was changing out a support cable on a new tower near Come By Chance when something went terribly wrong. The tower became unstable and collapsed to the ground, killing Jared Moffat of Saskatchewan and Tim McLean of Ontario. Work on the project was suspended, and Service NL later issued a stop work order on the erection of new towers. Now, after 2 months, that order is lifted and work is again ramping up. Forbes issued a statement on Saturday saying it had completed its investigation. The key paragraph? The investigation disclosed that the direct cause of the incident was a deviation from standard process in the changeout of a guy wire. This action created instability in the tower, resulting in it falling to the ground. What we don't know is exactly who was at fault on that tragic day. Was it the two men on the tower, their supervisors, or maybe the company itself? Well, neither Forbes Brothers or NL Hydro will answer that question. Hydro says the top priority now is safely resuming full construction. Meanwhile, Service NL says its investigation is ongoing, but it's clear that concerns still remain. The contractor is still prohibited from working on existing towers supported by temporary guy wires. Terry Roberts, CBC News, near Bellevue, Conception Bay.
His obituary reads he was a scholar and teacher and an accomplished man of letters. Patrick O'Flaherty's body was recovered Saturday evening after a 3-day search of a pond in Keels, Bonavista Bay. A tragic end to a summer swim with his wife and friends. O'Flaherty was born in Long Beach, Conception Bay North, and taught English at Memorial University for 3 decades, rising to department head and vice chancellor. He had a passion for politics, but is best remembered as a prolific chronicler of Newfoundland history and literature, writing 15 books from personal memoirs to scholarly analysis. In 1997, he spoke with Here and Now about East of Canada, an ambitious CBC Newfoundland and Labrador documentary series. O'Flaherty was the host and historical consultant.
Hello, I'm Pat O'Flaherty. The island of Newfoundland and the territory of Labrador are now part of the Canadian Federation. Before joining Canada, it was a world apart, with its own history as a fishery, colony, and nation. The 5 programs in this series tell the story of the island and province. We begin with John Cabot, an Italian who sailed west from Bristol in 1497, hoping to reach the Orient. Instead, he found a new isle, likely Newfoundland. He claimed the island for the King of England and the Pope. He didn't think someone else might own it. Yet it had been the home of Beothuk Indians for centuries. After Cabot, the Beothuk's secluded life changed forever. The curtain rises on a great tragedy.
Patrick O'Flaherty earned a PhD when he was just 24 and was later awarded an honorary Doctor of Laws by Memorial. He was a member of the Order of Canada and remembered by many as the host of Reach for the Top on CBC TV. Patrick O'Flaherty was 78 years old.
The Newfoundland and Labrador government is spending $5.5 million to help fish plant workers qualify for employment insurance this year. Plant workers logged fewer hours and in some cases weren't even hired at all because of the declining shellfish resource and a late start to the season because of thick ice. The money will be used to create short-term jobs. Details on how the money will be spent and who will qualify for help will be determined through talks with processing companies, towns, and plant workers.
The fact is that these employment programs do support significant, valuable, community-based projects that assist the economy of the region, that assist the overall well-being, the quality of life of in communities, and the economic capacity of communities to be able to generate new jobs and new opportunities. But let's be clear, we have a responsibility to be compassionate as well. There are a group of workers in our province, there are a group of people through no fault of their own have faced an economic circumstance, an employment circumstance, which is putting their own livelihood, their own ability to make a living, the ability of their community to be prosperous in jeopardy.
Well, a temporary roundabout in Kenmount Terrace is causing a headache for one person who lives on the street. Mike Walburn says it's not enhancing safety like the City of St. John's had hoped. Here now's Jeremy Eaton with that story.
A piece of infrastructure designed to keep cars moving grinds traffic to a halt as Mike Walburn backs his truck into his driveway.
But the major concern here for me is that I can't safely access my driveway. In doing so, in accessing my driveway, I'm creating a bottleneck for the traffic that's coming behind me.
On August 14th, the city installed the temporary roundabout. Built from recycled materials, the intended purpose is to try to get drivers to slow down and to help teach them how to navigate around them. Instead, it's forcing some bigger vehicles like this Metrobus to drive over them.
I spoke to one of the Metrobus drivers a couple of days back, and he indicated that himself and his female colleague who drive the routes here are experiencing difficulty with navigating.
The councillor for that part of town, Sheila O'Leary, says a growing concern for residents in the area was traffic.
So staff looked at it, and one of the recommendations that came forward was for a pilot project, and that was the semi-roundabout that we see that's in practice there right now.
O'Leary has been in contact with Walburn, understands his concerns, but stresses this is just temporary.
It's not permanent. It's a pilot project that will come up before winter. It's a very temporary thing. It's been in practice now probably only a week, I think, probably. And we just want to see how it is actually going to affect the traffic flows.
One of the main concerns Walburn has is that if this roundabout stays, it will lower the property value of his house. But O'Leary says that Walburn and other residents there in Kenmount Terrace need to be patient, as this is just a pilot project. Staff here at the city will review it, and then they'll decide where to go from there. Jeremy Eaton, CBC News, St. John's.
Eclipse fever is gripping people everywhere. Our very own Ryan is even caught up in the excitement.
Coming up, he'll show us how he captured the sun today.
Welcome back once again. Of course, all the talk, not only in this province, but around the U.S., of course, the eclipse. Some in the U.S. got to see a whole lot more of an eclipse than we did, but it was pretty good here.
Yeah, I went out around 4:30 at about the peak, and it's hard to tell whether or not I could really notice the difference or whether or not I was just like, it's the placebo effect. You're really,
right.
But it did seem a bit like someone had taken the dimmer switch and just turned it down a little bit. Like it wasn't totally different.
And that's a pretty good analogy for it. And so I decided to go out, did this in grade 5, so I felt like I had to do it again. Went out and brought some materials from home. I have a lot of diaper boxes at home right now, so I had a lot of cardboard kicking around. So I cut some diaper boxes up, and then I took some tin foil and taped it on there. And of course, all you need is a pin after that, and you just poke a little hole, just a nice little round hole, and then you just have to basically line it up so that the sun goes through that hole and casts a shadow, and the light comes through that hole onto another piece of cardboard, and there it is.
There it goes.
That's the sign for Batman. No, that's the wrong movie.
Close. Sunman. But anyway, so yeah, myself and Eddie Kennedy, cameraman, were out there for a few minutes around the peak, around 4:30, and I agree, Peter, you could definitely detect something. Not quite the images that NASA is showing us today, but not half bad for a little pinhole viewer. So remember that for 2024.
Okay.
If the forecast cooperates. Another cool part of today, have a look at what it looked like from space. This is the visible satellite, the GOES 16 that just came online. And you can no doubt see the moon's shadow start in the northwest and then sweep across the U.S. today and cast that big shadow as the moon came, of course, in front of the sun. So pretty cool shot there. And again, it was total eclipse from basically Oregon down through Wyoming into Kentucky and then down into the Carolinas and now offshore. And it is all done now, but a ton of great pictures that have been taken today, not only in this province, but of course across the U.S. And I'll share some of the pictures from here a little later on in the show. It was a great day for getting out and enjoying the eclipse, especially for the kids who were out at Signal Hill, 22 degrees in St. John's. Not so much in Labrador where the cloud cover was dominant. Cool temps along the coast as well. Just 7 in Makkovik right now, 11 in Name. That'll be the setup again tomorrow. Winds have become onshore there and will stay that way. 19 degrees right now in Happy Valley Goose Bay, but a temperature drop for you folks tomorrow, and we're into the low 20s and hanging there for a good portion of this evening in through central and much of Newfoundland. So our first low is just starting to depart that brought us the rain overnight on the island and in Labrador. Couple of lows that we're going to be watching off to the west, and those are going to bring, yes, more shower activity tonight. Risk of a thunderstorm across parts of Labrador as the sun rises tomorrow morning. We're going to see a chance of showers from Happy Valley Goose Bay down across the northern peninsula. Temperatures are going to be in that mid-teen range, so a lot milder to start the day tomorrow than it has been over the last couple of mornings, which have been pretty cool across Newfoundland. So yeah, it'll be definitely a milder and warmer start. Now, as we move throughout the day, scattered shower chances for most of Labrador where the clouds will linger. As we move into the afternoon, watching for a line of showers and a risk of thunderstorms to fire up over the interior tomorrow. The best chances of that from Grand Falls, Windsor to Gander and out towards Terra Nova and perhaps the Bonavista Peninsula. Mainly sunny skies. The sun will rise at 6:06 tomorrow and sun and cloud. 25 degrees tomorrow afternoon, and the Debbie Downer in me will, no offense Debbie, you know the saying, Debbie Downer in me will let you know that tomorrow the sun will set after 8 p.m. for the first time since April. And yeah, so it's been a nice old stretch, but 7:59 the sunset in St. John's tomorrow. Sign of the times indeed. And there's that risk of showers and thunderstorms. Bonavista Peninsula back through central tomorrow. Twillingate, the Bay of Exploits, not out of the question there. Onshore winds, we'll see temps in the 20s. Get away from those onshore winds. We're talking about mid-20s tomorrow. Pretty nice one indeed. And look at that temperature contrast in Labrador. Single digits along the coast, 16, 17 in the west. And the Straits nicely shielded from that onshore flow as well. Should get to around 16 degrees, but head up the road towards Mary's Harbor and you're talking about 11 or 12 degrees there. Don't go anywhere. We're going to talk about the big soaking coming for Labrador Wednesday. That slowly wanders across the island late week and may linger into the weekend for the east. We'll talk about that coming up with your 7-day. Peter?
Lots of people talking about the benefits of a roundabout, but what happens when the circular intersection prevents you from safely pulling in or out of your driveway? Well, we'll hear more about that coming up.
Welcome back to Here and Now. Rules preventing an old sports bar and biker hangout from becoming a Balkan restaurant are up for review at St. John City Council tonight. Eldon Husic is from Bosnia. The city told him he was just a few months late putting in his application. No one, including the city or the lawyers, caught the issue before the purchase closed.
It adds to the fabric of this society. It makes a better neighborhood. And I don't think that rules and regulations should come in place at this particular point. If people are willing to accept us, and if we are willing to put in the effort and our own money into this, then let it go.
The city had said there was nothing it could do, but it now appears things may change. Ariana Kellen was at the council meeting this afternoon. So Ariana, what are councillors saying now?
Well, our podister put forward a notice of motion to change some city rules, and if approved, those changes would allow Eldon Husic and his family to open the Balkan-style eatery they've been dreaming of. Now, this bar is considered a residential property. The sports bar building was given a non-conforming use exemption from the residential zoning of the neighborhood for decades, but that exemption lapsed because the property had not operated as a commercial business for 3 years. Now, Pudister wants to change that rule from 3 years to 4 years instead, giving the Husicks an opportunity to apply again. Pudister hopes to have this sorted out within 2 weeks' time.
Well, I would like to say that this is something that can only happen in St. John's, Newfoundland. I'm really happy to be here. Imagine if I were, let's say, in Toronto or something like that, I would never be able to do what I'm doing here. And I'm really happy that the people, the city fathers, had took their time to even consider my case and to look at it holistically rather than legally. So I'm really, really happy with the whole process.
Now, even if council votes against Pudister's motion quashing the Husicks' dream of a restaurant on Monclody Street, the family isn't necessarily saddled with that property. Tonight, Husick said he does have a grace period to get out of the sale of the building within a certain timeline. Peter?
Thanks. That's the CBC's Ariana Kellen reporting live for us tonight. Back now to one of our top stories, a temporary roundabout in St. John's that was supposed to solve a safety problem, but it's created another one. That's according to Kenmount Terrace resident Mark Walburn. St. John's morning show host Chrissy Holmes spoke with him about his concerns. Here's part of their conversation.
This is the brand new mini temporary roundabout at the corner of Petty Fort and Great Eastern Drive, and this is Mike Walburn's house. Mike, what exactly is the problem with your proximity here to the roundabout?
Well, it's not so much the proximity as the fact that you have a median located in front of the property, and to have safe access, I want to back into my driveway, and I cannot back into the driveway without going up over the median. So my truck is fairly high off the median. If I got to back in a smaller vehicle, there's a concern that I may hit the bottom. And if I was to back in a utility trailer, I'm not able to do it without interfering with 2, if not 3 parts of the roundabout. I'm creating a bottleneck for the traffic that's coming behind me. I can understand what council is doing and the issue with slowing traffic. Have they done that? Well, in the past few days, we've been observing traffic, and there are a number of vehicles that haven't slowed. I'm not saying they're speeding, but they haven't slowed because the east-going lane is relatively straight. In solving an issue, I think they've created a couple problems.
What are your neighbors saying about this, Mike?
Up here in the stretch of street, there are about 6 houses, I would assume, if you could look around, that are directly impacted. So you're looking at about 12 families, because a lot of those units are 2 apartment units. So you're multiplying the impact by 2 here. Now, not everyone has a median directly in front of their property, but there's still access issues.
Mike, I'm seeing that there's a bus stop right here. We've got a couple of post boxes here. How are those particular little traffic hurdles now that the roundabout is in?
The issue with the Metro bus is because of the length, it needs a wider turning radius. And what's happening is that they're coming 2/3 to 3/4 in this curb extension, and the signage is being barely missed by the mirror. And I spoke to one of the Metro bus drivers a couple of days back, and he indicated that himself and his female colleague who drive the routes here are experiencing difficulty with navigating. What's happening during garbage pickup? You look across the street here, right? You see the garbage that's out now. Garbage truck has to stop. They can't stop in front of the properties because they extended the curb. So I've lost the parking spot. I know winter bans, you can't park there, but I've lost the parking spot, and so have all the other property owners. So now, people that are delivering or providing a service like garbage collection, they got to stop right in the middle of the roundabout, right? And the issue with that is then, again, you bottleneck traffic flow. You basically brought traffic flow to a halt. If they want to control speeding, I think they need to look at some other possible solutions. Maybe speed bumps. Personally, I think that roundabouts are becoming the new fad. Let's control traffic with roundabouts, and they work fine in places like Carwood and Kenmount Road. They work fine in places like the entrance to Galway. I think Mr. Williams did a fantastic job of whoever designed that, right? Traffic flows perfectly there. But it doesn't flow perfectly here when you're impeding at least 4 driveways are impacted directly.
Now, for its part, the City of St. John says the temporary roundabout will be in place until this fall. Ward 4 Councillor Sheila O'Leary says she understands Walburn's concerns, but she's asking people to be patient while traffic is being studied in the area.
Well, look at these brave souls. They took on the Tickle this weekend as they jumped into the ocean and swam all the way from Portugal Cove to Bell Island. We'll tell you how they did next.
Welcome back to Here and Now. The 5th annual Tickle Swim for Mental Health took place on Sunday morning. 19 people attempted to swim from Portugal Cove, St. Philip's to Bell Island.
And one of those swimmers was 19-year-old lifeguard and Memorial University psychology student Kyle Saunders. He was still in junior high when he was diagnosed as bipolar.
Saunders was 14 when he stayed here. He was halfway through his final year of junior high and having a breakdown.
The video I posted was my Janeway's Telethon Miracle Kid thing that I did. I really enjoy talking about mental health, talking to my friends, talking to everybody that I can to get the word out about how easy it is to talk about it and how much better it is to talk and to have that line of communication so your friends can better understand you and so they can be more open to talk to you, and it starts creating a community of people who know how to listen.
Time to go back?
Well, I swam for probably about 4K and then I had to take a boat for the rest of it. I'm just here to help with the awareness of physical health being a very important part of mental health as well.
Raise awareness of mental health and the challenges that we all face in in life, and a lot of times as we know, life throws a lot of curveballs to us, and I find physical activity really helps me stay grounded and just tackle those tough times when they come along.
It really is a great initiative to raise money for our local Canadian Mental Health Association. They offer so many fantastic programs that help people with mental illness and with mental health issues.
Wow. I gotta say though, I'm cold just looking at them. If that were me, I'd probably still be shivering under a blanket somewhere.
Pretty impressive to do that.
Absolutely, yeah, and great for them to take that on for such an important cause like this.
For sure. And by the way, the group raised about $20,000 for the provincial division of the Canadian Mental Health Association, so congratulations all.
Well, and to Ottawa now, where a group of university students are building a very unique project. It's a tiny smart home that would produce more energy than it actually uses, and it would be the first of its kind in Canada. Omar Debagi-Pacheco reports.
It all started with 5 engineering students and one challenge.
Is it possible within this reduced footprint to collect and store all of the electricity you need over a given year?
The house they designed is just 220 square feet, a tiny home that can generate its own power, feed excess back to the grid, and collect and store water. But that was just the first challenge.
They don't meet any codes. It's not quite an RV, it's not quite a house, so it's somewhere in between. Yeah, that was one of the main hurdles.
The fact that the home is on wheels is another complication.
Assuming that it'll be transported on the road, there's size restriction, there's weight restriction on the trailer bed. So those things, we really have to juggle a lot of factors to be able to make it happen.
Right now it looks like more of a shed than a house, but when it's done, this tiny home will showcase some cutting-edge technology. Vacuum panels, usually used in refrigerators, will insulate the walls. Doors and windows will be controlled remotely.
It's tight, but I mean, it's doable. I think we have all the main features that you would like in a house, just on a very small scale.
The push now is to get it built.
Right now we're crunching against time because we want to finish this before school picks up.
If it's ready in time, the team hopes to display the tiny home at a green energy fair in September. But would they live in it?
For sure, for sure. It really resonates with me on a personal level because I just love the idea of tiny house, and I don't think I'll ever have enough money to buy a real house. That's not I don't want to go into the 20-year mortgage kind of deal.
Omar Debagi-Pacheco, CBC News, Ottawa.
Well, I guess when you're trying to buy a house in Ontario, the good news is probably what it costs for one of those mini houses. You can actually come and buy a full house here in Newfoundland and Labrador.
Or,
so
you could park that in somebody's backyard, just kind of share the
run the extension cord.
Interesting concept, though, energy efficiency and all that. A lot of younger people are looking for that kind of lifestyle.
Yeah.
It would take a lot of getting used to, though.
I would think so, yeah. Okay, so as we take a look at the forecast over the next couple of days, it was a great day today. We've got a couple of systems that are going to be moving in from the west. One's a real soaker for Labrador as we talk about Wednesday into Thursday in particular. Have a look at your highs today. A real cooker across parts of the Maritimes today. Almost 30 degrees in Fredericton, and you can see where highs across the island weren't doing too bad either. Labrador not too bad today, but a cool down tomorrow as winds become east and northeast on the other side of this system, which is departing. And yeah, it is going to be an onshore setup for you folks tomorrow. As we look off to the west, this low and this low, these dynamic duos will be rolling through as we move through tonight into Tuesday for Labrador. Again, good chance of showers. That extends down to the northern peninsula for tomorrow morning. As we move into the Tuesday afternoon time period, that low will start to move off, but a little trough will likely fire up some activity in the form of some showers, maybe even the risk of a thunderstorm for central parts of Newfoundland for tomorrow afternoon. That extends out towards the Bonavista Vista Bay area. 25s and 26s on the menu for many. A little cooler in those onshore winds. And yeah, we are talking about single digits along the coast of Labrador. And as I mentioned earlier, I just want to clarify St. John's, the sun will set before 8 p.m. tomorrow for the first time. Tonight will be the last sunset after 8 p.m. in St. John's. Got my before and after mixed up earlier, so just so we're all clear on that. As we look ahead to Wednesday, big soaking rain here for Happy Valley Goose Bay back towards Labrador City. Periods of rain at times. Heavy will be pushing through the day on Wednesday. That will then roll up towards the western parts of the island for Wednesday evening, and you can see where I think central and eastern Newfoundland will stay dry on Wednesday. This line will work its way eastward, but again, Wednesday, the really wet period for Labrador in particular, single digits along the coast. We are talking about forecast model projections here in the 20, 30, 40, maybe even 50 millimeter range locally, especially over areas of the west. Could also see some heavier rains by the time we get to Thursday morning for the west coast. We will talk about that in more detail, and there is the future tracker showing picking it up Wednesday evening. Heavier rains again towards the west coast of the island for Thursday. Those will start to wander into central through the day on Thursday afternoon. I think St. John's a slight chance of a shower for Thursday, but for the most part we're dry, and then that line will wander into the east for Friday and into Saturday, of course. Isn't that the way it always goes? So that is kind of the lay of the land, where the next 2 days look good in the east. Thursday not even bad. Friday, Saturday are kind of the damp looking days, and then a bit of an onshore northerly flow in behind that. 6 and 7 days out could change. Getting some grim faces here on the desk beside me as we take a look at Labrador. Again, your setup over the next couple is certainly wet, but you're really clearing out as this disturbance moves off to the east. Your favorable forecast moves in for the weekend.
And it's time now for our Young Athlete of the Day, and today we want to introduce you to this birthday girl, Emily Withers from Marystown.
Emily is no longer 3. She turns the big number 4 today. Emily plays soccer with the Marystown Miners.
Way to go, Emily. You're today, and happy birthday. You're today's Young Athlete of the Day.
Welcome back to Here and Now. Researchers say loneliness and social isolation may be a greater public health hazard than obesity. Studies have shown feeling socially disconnected greatly increases your risk of early death. As Christine Burak reports, experts say we're facing a loneliness epidemic and little to nothing is being done about it.
Marcy O'Connor admits it's not cool to talk about it, but here goes.
I like spending a lot of time alone. It doesn't even occur to me to invite someone if I'm going hiking or to the movies. And then all of a sudden I realized that I was straddling this weird place maybe between being alone and feeling lonely.
With an aging population, fewer marriages, children, and record-breaking numbers of people living alone, researchers say we're facing a loneliness epidemic, and it's affecting our bodies.
It's cardiovascular functioning, neuroendocrine functioning, immune functioning, and even cellular aging.
And now results from a wide-reaching review of hundreds of studies shows loneliness is hazardous to our health. Researchers found that people with social connections had a 50% lower risk of dying early when compared to people who didn't have strong social circles. Researchers also found that the health risk associated with loneliness, isolation, and living alone was higher than obesity and rivaled smoking.
I think we need to take it seriously as a public health issue, and I think it will increase over time.
Given the implications, experts say doctors should screen patients for social connectedness. At this Toronto hospital, day programs welcome seniors who may otherwise spend most of their time alone.
I was lonely, yes, depressed. And when I came here, it gave me a new outlook.
Experts say online social networks don't solve the problem. People need face-to-face interaction. O'Connor now talks to people on her walks, and while she still enjoys her quiet time, she's mindful of spending too much time alone. Christine Burak, CBC News, Toronto.
There was a bittersweet ending for an Ontario woman trying to find her biological father. The search took decades, and by the time she tracked him down, he'd passed away. But as Lauren Pelly reports, the woman found something else, a family with open arms.
Saved me as Erica, my new cousin.
You can see the resemblance between Erica Cowie and her aunt and cousin, but growing up in Pickering, she never knew this other family existed.
I always knew from very young. I was about 5 years old and I knew, like, I would look at pictures of me and my sisters and go, now, I look very different. Why do I have curly hair? Why do I have brown eyes? Why do I have darker skin?
Cowie had a hunch the loving father who raised her wasn't her biological dad, and a paternity test eventually proved she was right, despite what she'd been told by her family. Last spring, the Newcastle mother of two did a DNA test of her own and found out she's Portuguese. It lined up with someone from her mother's past, a man named Paul de Freitas.
I put a post on social media, and within 24 hours, I had someone from my family contact me. My cousin contacted me, and it turns out that most of my family is within like 100 kilometers of where I live all this time.
Soon, Cowie was introduced to dozens of new family members at an emotional family reunion earlier this year. People like her grandmother, cousins, uncles, and her father's sister, Cecilia.
I was expecting that she was going to be as beautiful as she is. I really was. And I said, wow, I can't believe the resemblance, like the hair, the face, the skin, the eyes, everything like my brother.
A brother who died 4 years ago, never knowing he had a daughter.
We have his memory here. We have a part of Paul here. And we're so excited, and I don't know, like, I think it's going to take us a lifetime to sort of express all the different things that we knew about my brother, her dad.
Cowie has already learned so much about the father she didn't get to meet. He was an adventure seeker who lived in California and Hawaii, and she is too, having spent her 20s traveling the world as a dancer on cruise ships. Even though she'll never meet her biological father, Cowie says finding an answer and discovering her other family is enough.
All I know is I'd hug him so tight I would never let go. I just tell him I love him. And thank you for giving me life.
Lauren Pelly, CBC News, Vaughan.
Want to go back to one of our top stories tonight, the eclipse. People across North America were having their heads cranked up to the sky today to try and see the eclipse. It's a rare solar event, and it blanketed the continent as the sun hid briefly behind the moon. As Kim Brunhuber reports, people came out in droves to enjoy it.
Kiss! It begins slowly, as all romances do, with the first kiss, the moment the moon nuzzles the sun.
Oh, now it's the bite.
Sharmin Chowdhury can't forget her first eclipse as a child in Bangladesh, in her grandmother's courtyard, where they set up a dish of water and watched the reflection as the sun disappeared.
The story we were told by our grandma at that point was a monster will come, eat up the sun, and then we'll have to ask the monster to give it back. Where is it?
Ever since then, seeing a total eclipse has been at the top of her bucket list. That's why she traveled from Toronto to Salem, Oregon, the first state in the path of the total eclipse as it snakes its way across the entire country.
Oh gosh, it's exciting.
Now, with half an hour to go, the sun looks like a crescent moon.
It's amazing, and I can feel the temperature going down, and the light have changed around us already a little bit.
15 minutes to totality. Even the shadows transform into crescents.
Oh, goodness gracious me, look at that.
I'm gonna pull the plug any moment.
All around, the expectation, the rapture, clear to see. But for Jim Price, it's bittersweet. He spent years planning this trip to Oregon with his wife, but suddenly last year, she passed away.
I can hear her, sort of telling me, this is what I have to do, and this is something she would have loved to have been at. In some way, I think she's here, actually.
Oh my God, look at that.
Oh boy. Daily speeds there. There it is.
And then, light goes down by a factor of 1,000.
Right. Totality! Woo! Oh my God!
Chowdhury is moved to tears.
It's an emotional moment.
Oh gosh, yes.
The next total eclipse in North America, 2024. But this will be a tough act to follow.
Oh.
Kim Brunhuber, CBC News, Salem, Oregon.
Well, drug users in Toronto now have a place where they can inject themselves safely.
Provide a safe environment, a supervised environment for people to use their drugs safely so that they minimize harm to themselves.
It's an interim facility at the headquarters of Toronto Public Health. Permanent sites are due to open in the fall. An increase in overdoses in the opioid crisis made officials accelerate their plans, and Health Canada signed off on the interim site just yesterday.
A new wildfire near Harrison Lake, British Columbia is growing. It was first spotted Saturday night, and since then it has grown to 5 times its original size. Officials believe the fire was started by people. It's about 12 kilometers northeast of Harrison Lake. Helicopters and planes are scooping up water from the lake to douse the flames. The public is being asked to avoid the area.
While a rocket landed in the diplomatic area of Kabul today, close to the presidential palace. It set off sirens and alarms, but there were no immediate reports of casualties. The rocket strikes comes just hours before Donald Trump is set to speak to the American public about Afghanistan. As Lindsay Duncombe reports, the U.S. president is going to make a nationally televised speech to outline his strategy.
Tonight's address, live from an army base, is a big moment for Donald Trump.
I took over a mess, and we're going to make it a lot less messy.
The situation in Afghanistan is deteriorating. 16 years after a U.S.-led coalition moved in to get rid of the Taliban, the Western-backed Afghan government controls just 57% of the country. The Taliban insurgency is growing, and ISIS is making gains.
We're not winning in Afghanistan right now.
The Pentagon has presented Donald Trump with a range of options, including sending more troops, getting out of the war altogether, or hiring private contractors. It's a tough call for Trump. Before he became president, he repeatedly said the war was a waste of money and the U.S. should get out. The main supporter of that strategy is gone from the White House. Steve Bannon was fired Friday. Americans are sick of war, and politicians know it.
I think we should begin to leave, and then I think we should reserve the opportunity and the right with the proper basing of our forces in the region to be able to strike if we think that there is an effort being made to create another launching pad. But to just stay there after 16 years, I want our people to be able to come home.
What Trump should do in Afghanistan has been fiercely debated for months now. His decision will shape the future of that country and reveal clues about who he is listening to as he governs this one. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Washington.
Police in Spain have confirmed the man killed in a security operation today is the prime suspect in the Barcelona van attack. Authorities say he was driving last Thursday when 13 people were struck and killed on a famous city boulevard. A 14th victim was found dead in a suspected getaway car. The 22-year-old man had been the subject of an international manhunt since the attack. 9 other suspects in the Barcelona attack and a second assault have been killed or captured. An innocent woman died at the scene of that second attack. It's believed 2 additional suspects may have died in an explosion at a home bomb factory.
One person is dead after a vehicle rammed 2 bus stops in southern France. So far, the incident does not appear to be linked to last week's terror attacks in Spain. The collisions happened in the port city of Marseille. A van rammed 2 bus stops about 5 kilometers apart, killing a woman and seriously injuring another person. The driver was arrested at a 3rd location. Prosecutors say the case is not being treated as a terrorist incident. French media reports the driver is known to police and may have mental health issues.
Well, and with that chime, Big Ben has gone silent. History was made in London today. The people who take care of Big Ben have shut it down, saying it's time for repairs.
The clock itself will keep working, but with the exception of special events such as New Year's Eve, the chimes won't be heard for the next 4 years. It'll be the longest period of silence for Big Ben since it first started ringing in 1859.
Our period of
Welcome back once again. Well, a unique canine competition in Croatia is bringing together pets and owners with big prizes on the line. A race in the Adriatic Sea was staged this weekend by the country's only beach bar for dogs. Get a load of this name. Monty's Dog Beach Bar invited 15 owners and their pups to dash down the pier and into the water before swimming to shore in tandem. 4-year-old Nimbus was named top dog, took home a 7-kilogram bag of food and a luxury weekend at a pet-friendly hotel.
What did his owner get? The owner did just as much swimming.
He gets to stay in the hotel. It's pet-friendly. Oh, dear.
Well, lots of people talking about today's eclipse and protecting your eyes from the sun. Well, have a look at some of the methods people around the world have used to check out eclipses over the last century. Not necessarily the safest bets, but pretty interesting all the same. From telescopes in Kazakhstan in 1907 to protective film in New York in 1932, and more familiar versions, things like that cardboard viewer that similar to the one that Ryan made earlier today.
There's always a fascination, though, isn't there,
Yeah,
with the eclipse?
And some of them are a little more fashion forward than others. Speaking of the eclipse, I got a couple of great pictures to show you taken here today, but first a quick recap on the next three. Again, a little cool in Labrador over the next couple of days, warming up as we push towards midweek and especially late week. The island looks good for tomorrow into Wednesday, but watching that rain to spread in Wednesday into Thursday from west to east. And this picture was taken by Michael Windsor in Airport Heights. Today, obviously some kind of a filter on his camera. Very, very cool. You can see the nice cutout there, and a great picture of the eclipse through the clouds taken by Peggy Best, and that was somewhere here on the island as well.
Equally as nice.
Yeah.
Thanks for sending those in to us, and thanks all for being here tonight. We'll see you tomorrow.
And welcome back.
Thank you.